The galaxy of Warhammer 40K is a tapestry woven with tales of glory, devastation, and inexorable conflict. Amid the endless darkness of the 41st millennium, countless worlds have risen to prominence, only to fall under the weight of ambition, treachery, or the uncaring whims of fate. Among these, Talassar stands as a name etched into the annals of history, a once thriving world, now a haunting memory. Talassar was more than a planet. It was a symbol, a beacon of resilience in a galaxy that knew only war. Its name evoked pride among its inhabitants and respect among its allies. But as with all symbols, Talassar was not impervious to the tides of chaos that swept across the galaxy. Its fall, though tragic, was not unexpected, for no star burns forever, and no fortress stands unbroken. Set amidst the greater theater of galactic strife, Talassar's story is one of heroism and hubris, of alliances forged in fire and sundered by betrayal. To understand its downfall is to peer into the heart of the Imperium's struggles, to see the fragility beneath the iron veneer and the lengths to which its defenders will go to preserve what remains of humanity's empire. Though the final moments of Talassar are cloaked in tragedy, the planet's history offers glimpses of its former glory. Its unique geography and natural splendor were tempered by a fierce martial tradition. From the towering cliffs of its jagged coastlines to the labyrinthine depths of its sprawling cities, Talassar thrived as a bastion of cultural and military significance. Yet even the mightiest citadel can be breached, and no amount of preparation can guard against every threat. The story of Talassar's fall does not begin with its final days, but rather in the web of events that preceded them. The subtle machinations of unseen forces, the decisions of key figures, and the grim realities of the Imperium's struggle for survival all played their part in the inevitable collapse. This is not merely a tale of destruction, but a chronicle of the forces that converge when ambition, desperation, and destiny collide. For those who seek to understand the tragedy of Talassar, the journey must begin with a simple question. What made this world so significant that its demise would ripple across the galaxy? The answer lies in its people, its place in the grand strategy of the Imperium, and the threats that sought to unmake it. These elements, like threads in a grand tapestry, are interwoven to create a story that is as harrowing as it is enlightening. Prepare to delve into the depths of Talassar's history, a story that begins in light, descends into shadow, and ends in the cold silence of the void. As the layers of this saga unfold, one truth becomes evident. Even in a galaxy as vast and unfeeling as this, the fall of a single world can change everything. In the grand tapestry of Talassar's fall, several key factions and individuals stand at the forefront of this unfolding saga. Each played a distinct role, shaping the events that would seal the planet's fate. Their motivations, strengths, and flaws formed the crux of the conflict, adding layers of complexity to the tragedy that engulfed the legendary world. First, there were the defenders of Talassar itself. Drawn from the planet's native population, they were fierce and resilient, molded by their harsh environment and the perpetual state of readiness demanded by their position within the Imperium. Talassar's armies were a reflection of the planet's unique character, disciplined yet deeply attuned to their homeworld's geography and culture. These warriors, supported by the planet's formidable defense forces, stood as the first and most vital line of resistance against any threat. Central to Talassar's significance was its place within the Imperium of Man. The world was not just a well-fortified stronghold, but also a vital cog in the immense war machine that is the Imperium. Administrators, logisticians, and military commanders tasked with maintaining the Emperor's rule on Talassar were vital participants in the drama. Their decisions, forged under immense pressure, contributed to both the defense and ultimate collapse of the planet. The shadow of the Adeptus Mechanicus loomed large over Talassar. Known for their insatiable hunger for knowledge and the pursuit of ancient technologies, the tech priests of Mars had an undeniable interest in the planet. Talassar's resources and strategic importance were matched by its rich deposits of rare minerals and relics of the Dark Age of technology. Whether these agents of the Omnissiah came as allies or opportunists, their role in the unfolding events was significant, adding a layer of tension and ambition to the already fraught situation. Far from the light of the Imperium, darker forces stirred. A relentless and malevolent presence sought to exploit Talassar's vulnerabilities, striking with precision and cruelty. These adversaries, whose identity is a subject of endless speculation, were a force that cared little for diplomacy or negotiation. Their motives were as enigmatic as they were destructive, their methods honed for chaos and devastation. Beyond the known factions of the galaxy, other enigmatic entities also played a role, albeit in ways more subtle and insidious. Whispers of otherworldly involvement and mysterious visitors from the fringes of the galaxy have long been tied to the history of Talassar. Whether these influences were directly tied to its downfall or merely coincidental, their presence added to the uncertainty and paranoia that permeated the conflict. The Imperium's vast network of allies and vassals brought additional complexity to the situation. Some came to Talassar's aid out of duty or obligation, while others had ulterior motives that may have ultimately undermined the planet's defenses. From nearby systems to distant regions of Imperial space, reinforcements and support arrived in varying capacities, each group bringing their own agendas and priorities to the beleaguered world. Lastly, no account of Talassar's fall would be complete without acknowledging the key individuals who shaped its fate. From the planet's stoic leaders and valiant warriors to the schemers and manipulators who worked from the shadows, each left an indelible mark on the course of events. Their decisions, actions, and, in some cases, inaction played a pivotal role in the unfolding calamity. Together, these factions and individuals wove the intricate narrative of Talassar's fall. Their roles, often overlapping but sometimes in direct opposition, highlight the complexity of a galaxy where alliances are fragile and motivations are rarely simple. Each played their part, whether as defenders, aggressors, or opportunists, in a story that would resonate far beyond the boundaries of their own existence. Talassar's history is one of ancient beginnings, natural splendor, and strategic importance. Long before its fall, this world emerged as a beacon of human ingenuity and determination, a planet whose founding and development reflected the ambition and resilience of its creators. To understand what led to its demise, one must first grasp the circumstances of its origins and the events that shaped its place within the vast imperium of man. Situated within a strategically significant region of space, Talassar was identified during the early days of humanity's expansion as a world of immense potential. Its rich natural resources, including vast mineral deposits and fertile lands, made it an ideal candidate for colonization. The planet's unique geography, marked by towering ocean cliffs, sprawling coastal plains, and a network of subterranean cave systems, presented both challenges and opportunities for those who sought to claim it as their own. The initial settlers of Talassar were pioneers, driven by the desire to carve out a new existence in the stars. These early colonists laid the foundation for what would become one of the Imperium's most resilient worlds. Through tireless labor and advanced terraforming technologies, they transformed the planet into a thriving hub of human activity. Cities were constructed along its coastlines, their architecture blending harmoniously with the natural environment, while inland regions became the heart of agriculture and industry. As humanity expanded further into the galaxy, Talassar's importance grew. During the Great Crusade, its position as a logistical and military stronghold solidified its reputation as a key asset. The planet's defenders fortified it against external threats, creating an intricate network of fortresses, defense platforms, and orbital installations. Talassar became not only a place of economic and cultural significance, but also a bastion of security in an increasingly volatile galaxy. Over time, the planet's population flourished, developing a distinct identity shaped by their harsh yet beautiful environment. Talassar's people were known for their resilience and martial prowess, traits that became central to their cultural heritage. These qualities were tested repeatedly as the galaxy descended into turmoil, with conflicts and invasions testing the limits of the planet's defenses. However, the seeds of Talassar's downfall were sown long before its ultimate fall. The pressures of serving the Imperium took a toll on the planet's resources and population. Continuous wars and the demands of supporting nearby systems strained its infrastructure, creating cracks in what had once been an unassailable bastion. These challenges, while not immediately catastrophic, left the planet vulnerable to external forces and internal dissent. Moreover, Talassar's location, once a strength, became a liability. As a key node in the Imperium's strategic network, it attracted the attention of numerous adversaries. Enemies of the Imperium, ranging from marauding pirates to more organized and insidious threats, began to see Talassar as a prize worth seizing. The escalating tensions surrounding the planet placed it at the center of a brewing storm, one that would eventually engulf it entirely. In addition to external pressures, the shifting priorities of the Imperium contributed to Talassar's precarious position. Resources that might have bolstered the planet's defenses were often diverted to other, more urgent campaigns. Political maneuvering and bureaucratic inefficiencies further compounded these challenges, leaving Talassar to fend for itself against increasingly insurmountable odds. Despite these difficulties, Talassar endured for centuries, its people and leaders steadfast in their commitment to preserving their world. Yet the forces arrayed against it were relentless, and as the galaxy plunged deeper into darkness, the vulnerabilities of this legendary world became ever more apparent. What began as minor cracks in its foundation would eventually widen, culminating in the catastrophic events that sealed its fate. Talassar's story, from its founding to its final days, is a testament to the dual nature of strength and fragility. It rose as a symbol of human achievement, only to fall victim to the very forces it sought to resist. The tale of its origins offers insight into the inevitability of its collapse, a tragedy shaped by both the grandeur of its creation and the relentless pressures of the galaxy it inhabited. Talassar's history is a tapestry of significant events that chart its rise from an unassuming world to a legendary bastion of the Imperium. Each chapter in its development brought triumphs and challenges that defined its legacy. The planet's story is not only one of survival, but also of adaptation to the shifting currents of galactic history, as it stood resilient against the storms of war and political upheaval. The initial era of Talassar's settlement was characterized by industrious expansion. Early colonists harnessed the planet's abundant natural resources, constructing vast cities along its rugged coastlines. These cities became hubs of trade and culture, with towering spires overlooking the planet's expansive oceans. This period of growth laid the groundwork for a thriving civilization, supported by advanced terraforming technologies that stabilized its ecosystem and ensured long-term sustainability. As Talassar became integrated into the wider galactic network, it developed into a key logistical hub. Its location, equidistant from several vital sectors, made it a crossroads for commerce and military operations. This strategic importance did not go unnoticed during the era of expansion, as the Imperium recognized Talassar as a critical asset. Fortifications were constructed, and its defenses were bolstered, ensuring that the planet could withstand potential threats. Throughout its early history, Talassar faced sporadic challenges from external forces. Pirate incursions, rogue elements, and minor alien threats tested the planet's resilience. Each conflict added to the martial tradition of its people, who became renowned for their steadfastness in the face of adversity. The lessons learned from these encounters would shape Talassar's strategies in future wars. During the later stages of humanity's golden age, Talassar reached its cultural and economic zenith. Its cities were renowned for their architectural brilliance, blending function with aesthetic grandeur. The planet's oceans became centers of aquatic engineering, with advanced undersea facilities contributing to its industrial might. Festivals and traditions celebrating its history flourished, binding its population together with a shared sense of pride and identity. However, the galaxy's tranquility was not to last. With the onset of the Age of Strife, Talassar faced new and unprecedented dangers. Isolated from much of the Imperium's support network, the planet relied on its own ingenuity and resourcefulness to survive. This period was marked by intense conflict as local forces defended their world against a multitude of threats. The scars of these battles were etched into the landscape, serving as a grim reminder of the cost of survival. The re-emergence of order brought renewed purpose to Talassar, as the Imperium reclaimed its place as a dominant force in the galaxy. Talassar once again became a vital link in the chain of Imperial power, contributing its strength to the larger war effort. This period saw the rise of great leaders and innovations that ensured the planet's continued relevance. It was during this time that Talassar earned its reputation as a stalwart bastion, a symbol of the Imperium's resilience. The planet's position as a critical defensive and logistical node also brought with it increased scrutiny. Talassar became a focal point for political intrigue and maneuvering, as rival factions within the Imperium vied for influence over its governance. This period of internal strife strained the unity of its people and left the planet vulnerable to external manipulation. Despite these challenges, Talassar endured, its defenders committed to preserving their world against all odds. In the years leading up to its fall, Talassar became a flashpoint for conflict, drawing the attention of enemies both seen and unseen. Skirmishes and smaller wars began to chip away at its once imposing defenses, while internal divisions further eroded its stability. The constant demands of war and the depletion of its resources left Talassar a shadow of its former self, vulnerable to the cataclysmic events that would ultimately seal its fate. This progression of events reveals a world that, while remarkable in its achievements, was not immune to the relentless forces of history. Talassar's development, marked by both triumph and tragedy, set the stage for its final harrowing chapter. Its rise and struggles underscore the fragility of even the mightiest bastions in the face of a galaxy teeming with strife. The fall of Talassar was not the result of a single catastrophic event, but rather the culmination of a critical decision and a decisive chain of actions that set the stage for its destruction. At the heart of its downfall was a pivotal choice, one born of desperation and the immense pressure faced by its defenders. This decision would prove to be both the planet's last stand and the spark that led to its undoing. As the threats against Talassar escalated, the planetary leadership was forced to confront an unrelenting tide of enemies. Faced with dwindling resources, mounting casualties, and faltering defenses, a fateful plan was enacted. The planetary governor, advised by military commanders and strategists, authorized the use of extreme measures to repel an imminent invasion. This decision, made in the heat of crisis, would come to define the final moments of Talassar's storied history. The plan involved activating ancient defensive systems buried deep beneath the planet's surface. These systems, relics of an earlier age, were designed to unleash devastating power against any invading force. While they had been preserved for centuries as a last resort, their activation carried significant risks. The mechanisms were poorly understood, and their potential impact on the planet's stability was unknown. Nonetheless, the gravity of the situation left little room for hesitation. When the defensive systems were engaged, the initial results were promising. Devastating energy pulses tore through enemy fleets, disrupting their formations and halting their advance. For a brief moment, it seemed as though Talassar might hold out against overwhelming odds. However, this victory was short-lived. The ancient machinery, taxed by its prolonged activation, began to malfunction. Faults in the system triggered catastrophic chain reactions, releasing uncontrolled energy bursts that struck indiscriminately across the planet's surface. These malfunctions, combined with the relentless assault from external forces, created a perfect storm of destruction. Entire cities were reduced to rubble as massive energy discharges ripped through the landscape. The planet's once thriving ecosystems were obliterated, leaving only scorched earth and lifeless seas in their wake. The defenders of Talassar, already stretched thin, were unable to contain the chaos. Their efforts to stabilize the situation were met with failure, as the damage spread far beyond their capacity to repair. Compounding this disaster was the response from external Imperial forces. Witnessing the devastation on Talassar, High Command deemed the planet compromised beyond salvation. In a decision driven by cold pragmatism, reinforcements were rerouted to other critical engagements, effectively abandoning Talassar to its fate. This withdrawal of support marked the final blow, ensuring that the planet's defenders would face their end alone. The destruction of Talassar was not merely physical but symbolic. The decision to activate the ancient defenses, while made with the intention of saving the planet, highlighted the desperation and fragility of even the most fortified worlds in the Imperium. The cascading failures that followed served as a stark reminder of the dangers inherent in relying on technologies that were poorly understood or maintained. In the end, the very tools meant to protect Talassar became the instruments of its ruin. This key moment, the activation of the ancient systems, serves as the turning point in Talassar's narrative. It marked the transition from hope to despair, from resistance to collapse. The choice to gamble on a desperate measure was a reflection of the immense pressure faced by those charged with defending the planet. Though their intentions were noble, the outcome was catastrophic, sealing the fate of one of the Imperium's most legendary worlds. The fall of Talassar sent shockwaves across the Imperium and beyond, altering the galaxy's delicate balance of power and reshaping the perceptions of allies and enemies alike. Its destruction was not simply the loss of a planet, but the unraveling of a crucial stronghold that had anchored an entire region. The consequences were immediate, far-reaching and devastating, affecting countless worlds, strategies, and lives. Within the Imperium, the loss of Talassar was a grim reminder of humanity's vulnerability. Strategically, its absence created a massive void in the defense network of its sector. Neighboring systems, once buffered by Talassar's formidable presence, were left exposed to the ever-looming threats of alien incursions, pirate raids, and internal insurrections. The Imperium was forced to hastily redeploy its fleets and armies to compensate, stretching already thin resources to their breaking point. This redistribution of forces weakened the Imperium's ability to respond to other crises, creating cascading vulnerabilities across multiple sectors. Politically, the fall of Talassar ignited a firestorm of blame and recrimination. Administrators and military officials faced intense scrutiny as the mechanisms of the Imperium sought to assign responsibility for the failure. Accusations of negligence, corruption, and mismanagement became rampant, further fracturing an already fragile bureaucracy. High-ranking officials, eager to preserve their reputations, shifted resources and attention to cover their own failings, leaving many worlds in the sector to fend for themselves. Among the population of the Imperium, the loss of Talassar became a rallying cry for both despair and defiance. Propaganda efforts worked tirelessly to frame the event as a testament to the sacrifices required to protect humanity, while omitting the catastrophic missteps that led to the planet's demise. For some, the destruction of Talassar symbolized the inevitable decay of the Imperium's might, feeding whispers of rebellion and discontent. For others, it became a stark warning of the perils facing humanity, galvanizing efforts to strengthen defenses and root out perceived weaknesses. For the enemies of the Imperium, the fall of Talassar was a moment of triumph. It served as undeniable proof that even the strongest Imperial worlds could be brought low. Alien empires, warbands, and shadowy factions seized the opportunity to exploit the void left by Talassar's destruction. Trade routes were raided, vulnerable colonies were attacked, and chaos began to spread across the sector. The symbolic defeat of Talassar emboldened these forces, inspiring a new wave of aggression that tested the Imperium's resolve. Within the Adeptus Mechanicus, the destruction of Talassar reverberated deeply. The planet's rare resources and ancient relics, many of which were obliterated during its fall, represented an irreplaceable loss to the tech priests. Efforts were launched to recover whatever fragments of technology and data could be salvaged from the ruins, but the damage was overwhelming. The Mechanicus, already fractured by internal rivalries, found itself further divided over the allocation of resources in the aftermath, with debates over whether to prioritize other strategic worlds or focus on recovering lost knowledge. On a broader scale, the fall of Talassar disrupted the Imperium's perception of invincibility. It became a cautionary tale, recounted in military academies and whispered in the halls of power. Its destruction highlighted the precarious nature of the Imperium's vast and sprawling dominion, emphasizing how even the most well-fortified bastions could crumble under the weight of external and internal pressures. This shift in perception had long-term consequences, altering the priorities of both military and political leaders as they sought to avoid a repeat of such a devastating loss. The psychological impact of Talassar's fall extended to its enemies as well. While many celebrated the event as a victory, others viewed it as a harbinger of the Imperium's desperate measures. The unchecked use of ancient technologies and the subsequent devastation underscored the lengths to which humanity would go to defend its domains. This realization tempered the optimism of some adversaries, reminding them that the Imperium's collapse would not come without extraordinary cost. The destruction of Talassar also left a scar on the fabric of the warp. The catastrophic energy released during its final moments disrupted the immaterium surrounding the planet, creating a turbulent and unstable region that hindered navigation and communication. This warp storm further isolated nearby systems, complicating efforts to rebuild and defend the sector. The chaotic presence also drew the attention of dark entities, whose influence began to seep into the vulnerable fringes of the Imperium. In the years that followed, Talassar's name would become both a rallying point and a grim warning. For the Imperium, it was a reminder of what could be lost through hubris, desperation, or miscalculation. For its enemies, it was a symbol of opportunity, showing that even the brightest stars in the galaxy could be extinguished. The echoes of Talassar's fall would reverberate through the galaxy for centuries, shaping the fates of countless worlds in ways both seen and unseen. One of the most intriguing aspects of Talassar's story is the mysterious nature of the ancient technologies and tactics employed in its final defense. These mechanisms, long dormant beneath the planet's surface, have sparked endless debate and speculation among scholars, military historians, and enthusiasts. Their origins, purpose, and ultimate failure have become a focal point of discussion, raising questions about the wisdom of relying on relics of a bygone era in the Imperium's desperate struggles. The defensive systems activated during Talassar's final hours are believed to date back to the Dark Age of technology. Records of their construction are scarce, and their rediscovery during the planet's early colonization remains shrouded in mystery. These systems were integrated into Talassar's infrastructure with the explicit purpose of safeguarding it from catastrophic invasions. Unlike conventional Imperial weaponry, these relics possessed capabilities far beyond what was commonly available, including energy manipulation and targeting precision that rivaled even the most advanced modern defenses. The methods used to activate these systems also remain a point of fascination. Reports suggest that only a handful of individuals on Talassar possessed the knowledge required to initiate these mechanisms, and their training was steeped in secrecy. Some accounts claim that activating the technology involved a complex ritualistic process, blending technical expertise with an almost spiritual reverence for the machine. This fusion of knowledge and faith in technology reflects the paradoxical relationship the Imperium has with its ancient heritage. The sheer destructive power unleashed by these systems has led many to question whether their deployment was even necessary. Witness accounts describe the weapons as capable of vaporizing entire enemy fleets in seconds, yet their lack of control turned this immense power against the planet itself. This duality, immense strength paired with uncontrollable risk, has become emblematic of Talassar's downfall, a symbol of both humanity's ingenuity and its recklessness. Another fascinating aspect lies in the unique geography of Talassar and its role in the planet's tactical planning. The planet's expansive oceans, rugged coastlines, and intricate cave networks provided both opportunities and challenges. Military strategies on Talassar were heavily influenced by this terrain, with underwater installations and hidden fortresses playing a crucial role in its defense. These features, while ingenious in their design, proved to be a double-edged sword when the ancient systems malfunctioned, as the devastating energy unleashed by the defense mechanisms triggered seismic activity that further ravaged the planet. The aftermath of Talassar's fall also gave rise to an unusual phenomenon: the emergence of relic hunters and scavenger fleets drawn to the ruins. Despite the dangers posed by the unstable environment and residual energy fields, countless individuals and organizations have sought to recover fragments of the planet's lost technology. This ongoing pursuit has fueled speculation about what treasures, or terrors, might still lie buried beneath the ruins of Talassar. Stories of powerful artifacts, hidden caches of knowledge, and forgotten data logs continue to circulate, enticing adventurers from across the galaxy. One of the most contentious topics among fans and scholars is whether Talassar's ancient systems were sabotaged. Some theories suggest that external forces may have infiltrated the planet long before its final hours, planting faults or interfering with the mechanisms to ensure their catastrophic failure. Others argue that the systems were inherently flawed, their creators unable to foresee the long-term consequences of their designs. These debates reflect broader themes within the Imperium's history: the dangers of over-reliance on ancient relics and the fine line between salvation and destruction. The strategic importance of Talassar also meant that its fall had ripple effects across military doctrine. Analysts have often pointed to the lessons learned or ignored from Talassar when discussing subsequent campaigns. The Imperium's reluctance to fully investigate the potential of similar ancient technologies on other worlds has been both criticized and praised, with some arguing that such devices are too dangerous to be trusted, while others lament the missed opportunities for potentially game-changing advancements. Lastly, the cultural impact of Talassar's defense and destruction has become a topic of enduring fascination. The imagery of its final stand, with monumental weapons firing into the void as its defenders fought to the last, has been immortalized in countless works of art, literature, and propaganda. This romanticized depiction of Talassar's fall serves as both inspiration and caution, capturing the essence of the Imperium's struggles and the sacrifices demanded by its survival. These cultural reflections keep the memory of Talassar alive, ensuring its legacy continues to spark debate and wonder across the galaxy. Among the countless figures who played a role in the fall of Talassar, some stand out as symbols of the planet's heroism and tragedy. Both defenders and attackers left indelible marks on history, their actions shaping the fate of the legendary world. Their strengths, flaws, and motivations provide a window into the human and inhuman forces that collided in this epic confrontation. At the heart of Talassar's defense was its planetary governor, a leader whose resolve and resourcefulness became a rallying point for the planet's population. Known for an unyielding commitment to their people, the governor worked tirelessly to prepare Talassar for the looming threat. Balancing political pressures and military necessities, they orchestrated a defense strategy that leveraged every available resource. However, their determination to save the planet at all costs also led to controversial decisions, including the activation of ancient defensive systems. While their leadership was inspiring, the governor's inability to foresee the full consequences of their actions remains a point of contention. Supporting the governor were the military commanders who led Talassar's forces in its final days. Among them was a celebrated general whose tactical brilliance earned widespread respect. This general had a deep understanding of Talassar's unique terrain, using its rugged coastlines and hidden fortifications to stage ambushes and delay enemy advances. Their leadership on the battlefield embodied a combination of courage and strategic acumen, inspiring their troops to fight against overwhelming odds. Yet beneath their calm exterior lay the heavy burden of responsibility as they wrestled with impossible choices and the growing realization of the planet's doomed fate. Another key figure in the defense was a master of naval warfare, whose command of Talassar's orbital fleets was instrumental in holding back the initial stages of the invasion. Renowned for their innovative tactics and daring maneuvers, this admiral pushed the limits of what their forces could achieve, buying precious time for the planet below. However, their reliance on risky strategies also led to significant losses, and their eventual retreat from orbit marked the beginning of Talassar's collapse. Despite these setbacks, the Admiral's actions are remembered as a testament to their unwavering dedication. Among the civilians of Talassar, a charismatic leader emerged, rallying the populace with stirring speeches and acts of personal bravery. This individual, a figure of humble origins, became a symbol of hope and defiance. Their ability to inspire unity in the face of despair brought together diverse groups within Talassar's population, from workers in the industrial sectors to scholars in the planet's academies. While they lacked formal military training, their courage and determination resonated deeply, reminding everyone that Talassar's spirit could not be easily extinguished. On the opposing side, the attackers were led by a shadowy figure whose identity remains a subject of speculation and debate. This commander was a master of psychological warfare, employing tactics designed to break the will of Talassar's defenders before a single shot was fired. Their forces used a combination of relentless assaults and calculated feints to wear down the planet's defenses, creating an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Known for their ruthless efficiency, this leader exploited every weakness in Talassar's defenses, turning the defenders' own strengths against them. The invading forces also included a renowned strategist who specialized in siege warfare. This individual meticulously orchestrated the long campaign to isolate Talassar, cutting off supply lines and overwhelming key defensive positions. Their methodical approach contrasted sharply with the chaos of battle, reflecting a mind honed by decades of experience. While their tactics were undeniably effective, they were criticized for their lack of regard for collateral damage, as their actions left a trail of devastation that extended far beyond Talassar itself. A particularly notorious figure among the attackers was a brutal enforcer, known for their role in leading the most devastating assaults. This individual epitomized raw aggression and unrelenting force, striking fear into the hearts of even the most seasoned defenders. Their brutal methods often resulted in heavy losses on both sides, but their sheer ferocity ensured that no line of defense could hold for long. Despite their fearsome reputation, their reliance on brute strength over strategy occasionally created openings that the defenders sought to exploit. The personalities involved in the fall of Talassar were as diverse as their roles, each contributing to the complexity of the conflict. From the determined defenders who fought to preserve their world to the relentless attackers who sought its destruction, these individuals embodied the strengths and flaws of the galaxy they inhabited. Their actions and decisions, shaped by their unique qualities and circumstances, ensured that the story of Talassar would be remembered as one of both heroism and tragedy. The fall of Talassar has given rise to numerous unresolved questions and speculative theories that continue to fuel debate among scholars, military historians, and fans. These mysteries range from the origins of the ancient defensive systems to the true intentions of the attackers, as well as the possibility of external interference that influence the course of events. One of the most contentious debates centers on the exact nature and origin of the ancient technologies activated during Talassar's final defense. While it is generally accepted that these systems date back to the dark age of technology, their full capabilities and purpose remain unclear. Some theories suggest they were never intended for use in warfare at all, instead serving as tools for planetary terraforming or resource extraction. If true, This misapplication of technology might explain the catastrophic consequences of their activation. Others propose that the systems were deliberately designed as weapons of last resort, created with safeguards that either failed or were deliberately tampered with. The possibility of sabotage has become one of the most enduring theories surrounding Talassar's fall. Given the precision with which the planet's defenses were neutralized, many argue that an internal or external agent must have compromised the systems long before their activation. This theory raises troubling implications, suggesting that enemies of the Imperium may have infiltrated Talassar's ranks or manipulated its leadership. Supporters of this theory point to inconsistencies in the timing of the malfunctions and the precision of the enemy's strikes, which seem tailored to exploit specific weaknesses. Another major point of contention is the identity and ultimate goal of the attackers. While much is known about their methods, their broader motivations remain shrouded in mystery. Some believe that the attackers were driven purely by a desire to conquer Talassar and claim its resources. Others speculate that the planet's strategic importance made it a symbolic target, with its destruction intended to demoralize the Imperium and destabilize the region. A more controversial theory suggests that the attackers sought to recover or destroy something hidden within Talassar itself, perhaps a relic or knowledge that posed a threat to their plans. The sudden withdrawal of Imperial reinforcements during Talassar's final hours has also sparked significant debate. Official records state that the decision was made due to the untenable nature of the situation and the need to prioritize other engagements. However, some argue that this explanation does not fully account for the timing and abruptness of the withdrawal. Was this decision a calculated betrayal to cover up larger failures within the Imperium, or were there factors unknown to the wider galaxy that influenced the choice? The lack of transparency has fueled speculation that key figures in the Imperium may have acted out of self-interest or fear. One of the most haunting mysteries involves the fate of Talassar's civilian population. While it is known that some civilians were evacuated during the early stages of the conflict, countless others remained on the planet as the situation deteriorated. Their ultimate fate is uncertain, with conflicting accounts suggesting anything from total annihilation to small groups surviving in hidden enclaves. This uncertainty has given rise to stories of ghostly remnants and survivors who may still linger in the ruins of Talassar, their existence unconfirmed but tantalizing to those who study the planet's history. The environmental aftermath of Talassar's destruction also raises significant questions. The activation of the ancient systems and the subsequent devastation altered the planet's geography and atmosphere in ways that are not fully understood. Some speculate that the unleashed energy left lasting anomalies, such as pockets of unstable reality or zones where natural laws seem to falter. These phenomena have drawn the interest of explorers and researchers, but the dangers posed by the region make detailed investigations nearly impossible. Finally, the cultural and symbolic impact of Talassar's fall remains a subject of endless interpretation. Was its destruction an inevitable outcome of the Imperium's overextension and reliance on ancient relics, or does it represent a deeper flaw in humanity's struggle for survival? The loss of Talassar has become a cautionary tale, but differing perspectives continue to shape how it is remembered. For some, it is a story of heroism and sacrifice. For others, it is a grim reminder of failure and the limits of human ambition. These unresolved questions and speculative theories ensure that the fall of Talassar remains one of the most discussed and enigmatic events in the galaxy's history. As long as these mysteries persist, the story of Talassar will continue to captivate and confound those who seek to understand its tragic legacy. The long-term consequences of Talassar's fall extend far beyond its immediate impact, influencing the Imperium's strategies, the balance of power within the galaxy, and even the cultural psyche of those who study its history. The destruction of such a pivotal world forced humanity to re-evaluate its vulnerabilities and the sustainability of its dominion over the stars. In many ways, Talassar's fate continues to shape the galaxy, its legacy echoing through both practical consequences and speculative what-if scenarios. Strategically, Talassar's absence created a permanent gap in the defense and logistical networks of its sector. The Imperium's immediate response, redistributing forces to cover nearby systems, offered only a temporary solution. Over time, this sector became an unstable frontier, vulnerable to invasions and piracy. Without Talassar's formidable infrastructure, nearby worlds bore the brunt of these incursions, suffering losses that might otherwise have been mitigated. This ongoing instability drained resources and manpower, leaving other regions of the Imperium underdefended and exacerbating the ever-growing strain on its overstretched forces. The loss of Talassar also triggered a re-evaluation of how the Imperium safeguards its most valuable worlds. In the centuries that followed, the Adeptus Administratum and the Imperial military began emphasizing redundancy in planetary defenses, ensuring that no single system could be relied upon to hold an entire region. However, this shift came at a cost, as spreading resources too thinly made it increasingly difficult to adequately protect key sectors. This trade-off has remained a contentious issue, with factions within the Imperium debating whether Talassar's fall was an avoidable tragedy or an inevitable outcome of the Imperium's vast reach. Economically, the destruction of Talassar was a severe blow to trade and resource distribution. The planet's natural wealth and industrial capacity had long supported nearby systems, and its loss disrupted supply chains that had been in place for generations. Some regions managed to adapt, developing new trade routes and production centers, but others were less fortunate, falling into decline or outright collapse. These economic ripples contributed to a wider fragmentation within the Imperium, as self-sufficient worlds grew increasingly independent and isolated from centralized authority. Culturally, Talassar's fall became a potent symbol, both for the Imperium and its enemies. Within Imperial propaganda, it was immortalized as an example of unyielding sacrifice and the costs of defending humanity's survival. For generations, tales of Talassar's defenders have inspired soldiers and citizens alike, their heroism serving as a rallying cry during times of crisis. However, for those critical of the Imperium's methods, Talassar's destruction stands as a cautionary tale, highlighting the perils of over-reliance on ancient technologies and the dangers of political infighting. Among the Imperium's enemies, the fall of Talassar served as both encouragement and a stark warning. It demonstrated that even the most well-defended worlds could be overcome, inspiring new campaigns against Imperial strongholds. At the same time, the devastation caused by the planet's ancient systems underscored the unpredictable nature of humanity's relics, deterring some from pursuing direct conflict with heavily fortified worlds. This dual impact has influenced the tactics of alien empires, insurgents, and other factions, shaping the broader dynamics of galactic warfare. Speculation about what might have been if Talassar had survived continues to captivate historians and strategists. Many argue that the planet's continued presence would have stabilized its sector, providing a reliable bulwark against external threats and a foundation for rebuilding nearby systems. Others suggest that Talassar's survival might have prevented certain critical engagements from escalating, as its formidable defenses would have deterred aggressors from venturing into its region. On the other hand, some believe that Talassar's prolonged survival might have created a false sense of security, delaying necessary reforms within the Imperium and leading to even greater losses in the long term. In a broader sense, Talassar's fall has forced the Imperium to confront uncomfortable truths about its limitations. The event highlighted the inherent fragility of even the most fortified worlds and the consequences of neglecting innovation in favor of preserving the status quo. For some within the Imperium, this realization has spurred efforts to better understand and utilize ancient technologies, while others advocate for focusing on sustainable methods of defense and governance. Talassar's destruction also left an indelible mark on the warp itself. The energy released during the planet's final moments created a localized warp disturbance that continues to hinder travel and communication in the region. This anomaly has made the sector more difficult to navigate, isolating certain systems and complicating efforts to rebuild. At the same time, the disturbance has drawn the attention of warp entities, whose interest in the area remains a source of concern for those charged with maintaining stability. Ultimately, the fall of Talassar is both a tragedy and a turning point, its legacy shaping the galaxy in profound ways. Its destruction serves as a reminder of the Imperium's resilience, its flaws, and the immense cost of its continued survival. Whether viewed as a failure, a sacrifice, or a warning, Talassar's story endures, its echoes felt in every corner of the galaxy.